The 9th century saw an escalation in conflict between Vikings and Anglo-Saxons. Raiding had already started in the 8th century, but what we see in the written record, an increase in the size of Viking forces and the scale of their raiding. And from the mid-860s, we hear of what's described as a Mikkel Herre, a great raiding army. Unlike the early Viking raids, where the Vikings would arrive at the beginning of a sailing season in the spring, raid, take whatever they got back home, and start again next year. What we get from the 860s is this Mikkel Herre staying and overwintering in England, moving from one kingdom to another, effectively conquering them, although they don't immediately settle. But they continue to campaign, in many cases for nearly 15 years, moving around different parts of the country. But this is a huge force. We can now see archaeologically some of the camps that they were based in. And these are camps large enough to house thousands of men, along with women and children, as described in the sources and also represented in the archaeological record. We're talking about effectively a sort of migratory community, a sort of semi-nomadic force. From the mid-870s, the forces start to divide. One group goes up to Northumbria, another spends a little bit of time in the period 878 to 9, raiding in the Mercia Wessex border, so the southwest Midlands, and that's almost certainly the context in which this hoard was put together firstly and then deposited. The Herefordshire Hoard was almost certainly deposited in the period 878 to 879, and the material within it is drawn primarily from southern and Midlands England. So the hoard can probably be linked with one part of the Mikkel Herre, the Great Army that was at Repton in Derbyshire in 874. That part moved south, the other part moved north, and they settled in Yorkshire. They established Jorvik. So we've got very little in Jorvik from that immediate settlement period. It's really a collection that developed slightly after that with the permanent settlement of York. But it's the same period of activity that gives rise to both. So there's definitely an association there.